UNSCOP, the United Nations Commission. Skipped over, so we have to return to that. And I guess I'll leave it at that for the time being.
Well, have I given you the name of the AP correspondent to the Dutch?
No, but I don't need that.
Huh?
I don't need to get that specific.
He does, because he was the man that organized the meeting between us and UNSCOP.
Okay.
All right, and I can't remember.
Just as well.
Well, when UNSCOP came to his, well, you have to describe what UNSCOP was.
Don't worry.
The circumstance that brought it about.
Don't worry.
That you'll do. The German Sundstrom made inquiries inter alia as to how they could get in touch with, how they could meet some representative or representatives of the Yugon. And the correspondent, the AP correspondent, told them he could arrange it. Whichever way it went. And so he got in touch with Joel, my colleague, who was responsible for the organization of such things. And a meeting was arranged for them at the home of the poet Jacob Khan. His wife was a member of the IZL.
What was her name?
Mira. The AP correspondent met me. I had met him before, actually. Met me at our usual cafe. And told me that he thought it would be fair if we allowed him to be present at this I was in favor, and I put it to Bacon, and he agreed as well. And so he's on the arranged the meeting for night time. And Sundstrom and his two companions, one was the secretary of the committee, the other was the assistant secretary. Secretary was a Chinese named Wu, and the assistant secretary was Rowan Bunch. They were to wait on a street corner near the hotel. Where they were picked up by Joel in a taxi. The hotel was probably 6 or 7 minutes distance from Elkhorn Khan's department. The party was taken out for about 20 minutes before they did. When the trio shown in and welcomed by Bigin, Sundstrom said he didn't tell them his name.
Begin
didn't tell them his name, but Sundstrom asked him, how do I address you? Are you a general or what? Begin said, we don't have titles here. I thought that's already said.
That you had, yes.
And then we had quite a far-ranging discussion on why we existed, and the repressive British policy, and their virtual abandonment of the limitations in the mandate, limitations to their authority, the mandate. I think that covers what happened at the meeting, except for one funny point which Begin writes about in his book. That is that Mr. Wu said that this was a small country. What do we think would happen 300 years time? And I said to him, Mr. Wu, what's going to happen in China in 3 years? Seems they have it. You can look at my book and see it. I think it's it there. I looked at then there was an unfortunate ending, unfortunate from the AP correspondent's point of view. He had been assured of a scoop. He said, that was my big scoop. If nobody had been able to say that he had attended such a meeting. But unfortunately, somebody, one of the, three or all of them, went to have a drink after the meeting. And they let the story out, and poor Mr. Correspondent was deprived of the, and the whole scheme, from his point of view, was frustrated. That's about all I tell you. I don't know the details. Nobody's published the details. What we're talking about, what I've just said, I think that's very new.
I have another question now, different subject. I have a different subject, last question that I have based on what we had previously discussed. We mentioned that you were in the Knesset on the Herut list. We mentioned in our last talk that you were in the Knesset on the Herut list, and you didn't enjoy it very much. We talked about that a little bit. In the jacket cover of Lone Wolf, it describes you as a co-founder of the Herut party.
Yes.
So how do you define or describe being co-founder of the party?
How would I describe it?
What makes you what lies behind that description?
Well, I suppose I was the only co-founder. But I was the member who composed the Herut program which was brought to the first election, the first Knesset election. Does the co-founder?
A co-founder.
No, a co-founder is right. But I was a very active co-founder in the ideological sense.
What happened? Begin asked you to write the program, or you volunteered to write the program? After you wrote it, you submitted it to him and he corrected it?
No, we sat together in his house. I don't remember exactly how it was done. But I can remember that we did it together.
You wrote it together in Hebrew, or you worked on it in English?
No, it would have been in Hebrew. Massively.
Okay.
Okay.
So now you're out of the Knesset because you didn't. What were the years that you were in the Knesset? 1949 to 1951.
51. 2.5 years.
And then you were in the publishing business until many years later. So I think now a little description of your role in the Land of Israel movement would be worthwhile. And then the cabinet ministry.
Yeah, Land of Israel movement was formed, or rather, the majority of the people who attended the first meeting and who formed the movement came from the left. The prominent members of this initiative, of this meeting, initiation of the movement, were Atan Alterman, the poet, Moshe Shamir, novelist, Eliezer Livne, this was the ideologue of the Labour Party. And a number of others from the intellectual community of Labour Party members. Adnan was a member, Azaz was a member, Azaz also leading writers, poets. I didn't come to the first meeting. I received an invitation to a meeting and was so badly printed, cyclist art, it wasn't clear to me what the meeting was about. Aaron Amir was one of the, he wasn't in the Labour Party. When I joined it a couple of weeks later, I discovered that it had been formed mainly by Mapai people. And there were probably only three or four Herut people or people of our caste. Eri Jabotinsky and joined it, and Abraham Weinschau, I don't know if you know them, and a couple of others. Now, from that point on, I warned people Herut people and others, not to join. I said, if we join, it will be seen, it will be treated as a branch of the revisionist movement. That will kill it. Now, its present composition is a sensational turn of all these people who for years have been in the labor movement, and a couple of them were certainly very prominent in the labor movement. Alderman was the poet of the labor movement, and Bigner was certainly perhaps the most important veteran of the labor movement. And let them fight. If they're joining the fight, let them join the fight. They don't need us. To our great regret, my colleagues in Herut my ex-colleagues, also in Herut, didn't understand this, and they were very irritated. They said about all these level converts to our point of view. Now they've come. Have they been all these years? My answer was came from Jabber's, one of Jabber's poems. I don't remember the words. It's again, poetry. But I think it was, you may remember it, you may come across it. How did this thing start? It was a very bitter poem after the death of a veteran in Poland who had been denied a certificate and committed suicide. At that time, certificates were being withheld from the return movement. Jabotinsky said, we'll take our revenge by how did he put it? By taking your youth away. Something like that. Mm-hmm. And I said, this is what is happening now. Not youth exactly, but very important people of the Labour Party are suddenly seeing the light. That's what Jabotinsky said would happen. However, I was never forgiven by the, I don't think I was ever forgiven by the, well, when I went in, there were no elections in the movement. The leadership of this movement was an ad hoc leadership, but it was accepted, obviously, by the public as leadership because of the importance of the white people who had joined it. And I was asked, I don't remember by whom, to join in the committee, and my relations with them were just about perfect. It was a very interesting experience for me to see all the findings. You know, obviously thinking exactly as I was thinking. And I asked myself, I'm sure the change hasn't taken place this minute. It must have been burgeoning in their minds for years. soon afterwards, there were almost suddenly a monthly journal, which was first edited by Israel Harel, who appears in Haaretz nowadays. That's the fig leaf for the left wing there. He's a very good guy. Afterwards, it was taken over by another by a Mapainik. It wasn't by a Mapainik. What did it again? Yeah. I'll get your name as well. I'll recall it. Leave there.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, it's not important whether it occurs or I think that's ability. I don't know whether it occurred. And I wrote quite frequently in this, which was called Zotar. This was 1967, 68. I think it was 68 that the idea of settling in Judea and Samaria actually, first group that went to settle in Judea and Samaria, so I remember the young men from Gush Emunim. Many of the people living there had been killed by the Arabs, and their sons had every year found a spot some distance from the area where they could look at the place where their parents had died, and in a sense sworn that they would take it back, they would restore it, which they did. I'm trying to connect the several dates this moment. Was the next move, the start of Gush Emunim, was the beginning of an organized move back.
What was your involvement with that? What was your personal involvement with the founding of Gush Emunim?
Founding Gush Emunim? Well, I was a member of a group which I'll tell you about in a minute.
Okay.
I want to say, I read the book. It's just the date.
So we're in January 7th.
That's what I'm telling you about. Is much earlier. The dream of Levinger. He was a rabbi of or Shauf, but I can't remember the name of him, Shauf was. And he and others decided that they were going to go and settle in Hebron. And I don't know who had the plan, but the plan as it worked out was that a group of these people were going to go to Hebron shortly before Pesach and celebrate Pesach in Hebron. They hired a hotel for the week, or more than the week of Pesach. And they applied, told us about this. And then the IZL movement raised the money for the purpose. And on the night of the Seder, or the day before the Seder, the eve of Passover, 3 members of the leadership of the movement, went to Hebron to celebrate the Passover. 3 members were Moshe Shamir, Israel and I. When we arrived, came there together. When we arrived there, they had taken our dinner and they had done all the necessary things to make it kosher.
Mm-hmm.
It belonged to an Arab named Hawatma. When we arrived there, and Harel went to put away the car, I stopped in the courtyard, and Levinger came out. Levinger said, so Osman said, come with me. And we went in and I found a whole lot of utensils there. And he said to me, we are remaining here. Which is what they did. And fortunately, we had direct contact with the government, who had announced against any efforts to establish settlements. But who had 3 members, there were 3 members who were very fervent on our side in regard to settlements. One was Yigal, the other was Zerach Warhaftik, and there was I, and there was Begin. And these 3 ministers each had a representative or a colleague inside the IZL. And so we were able to keep informed of what was going on in the government in relation to the settlement and to the future of the Hebron group, which we would probably have been kicked out of there if we had maintained this contact that the 3 members of the government had not been there to do it against the views of Eshkol. And well, I won't say Eshkol so much. Eshkol was probably fairly neutral on the subject, but Dayan was very much against it. Dayan was Minister of Defense. And the group continued to stay at the hotel. They paid rent there. Stuff what we didn't want to have been paid. And they wanted something better. They wanted and they intended to remain because they wanted housing.
What year was this?
Right?
What year was this?
This would be 68. 68. As well as 69, I don't remember. And then the silent battle in the government went on, and of course the battle in the government was silent, but the media, of course, may imagine what left me. And Levinger was being attacked as being a wild, irresponsible man, which he was, of course. Patriot, wild in the sense that there was something to be wild about. The government promised, by the state executive, that they would meantime find some temporary premises for the peoples who were determined to stay there. There was not enough determination on the part of his opponents in the government to prevent. And so the potential settlers were given an old British police barracks.
Mm-hmm.
Where they lived for some time. And when they had the first Seder, wait. They had the Seder in the hotel. They went off to the first Seder. At the first Seder, a big crowd of people came to Hebron and celebrated with all of us. I think the Rabbi Lukman, you may know, I think conducted this, I'm not sure. He knew that's important. They went to live in this barracks, and the government promised they would build an apartment house for them. And they didn't. Delayed, put off, postponed, until finally Levinger lost patience. And one day he went into the Arab market and he overturned some of the tables at the Arab market. Whereupon the young banished him from Hebron. Levinger came to see me, he said, how can you manage me? I'm living there. It's now my home, but I don't want to be living there. Managed all the time. When am I going to build these flats for us? I talked to Begin. I said, look, I banished a Jew from Hebron. Living there. They are to allow him to come back. That means the defense forcing to all kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
So then, Begin talked to Dayan. I'm now reporting, but he'll say it. That's what. Begin talked to Dayan. Dayan promised to invite Levinger to meet him. Begin told me this, I told Levinger. We all observed the protocol who we had. Begin was my contact, and Nicola Long was somebody else's contact. But I think it was somebody else's contact. And Levinger went to see Dayan. Then Begin reported to me on the meeting that Levinger and Herut, they and I said they had told Levinger that he let him come back, but he was promised that he won't do anything about letting him. And Levinger said, I can't make such a promise. I said, why not? And Levinger said, I get my movements are controlled by a higher authority. So Jan allowed him to come back and told Begin, as Begin told me, maybe he does. So that finally they did do that said, and the end result was, of course, the Alva, which is one of the ancient names. Now, we had a reunion a couple of years ago. Now, the next item is the accounting of Gush Emunim. Zia says that it was founded in January 1974. But as far as I'm concerned, Gush Emunim became a live body somewhat later that year, when Kissinger came here, maybe a couple of months later. Kissinger came here to negotiate after the Yom Kippur War, after he negotiated the defeat of Israel, political defeat of Israel in Egypt. He came here to negotiate with Golan a ceasefire for the Syrians. We opposed any negotiations. Kissinger, because what he'd done to Israel in Egypt made us afraid of what he might do in Syria. As it happened, I can't explain it, maybe I don't know the facts. The fact is that the arrangement which brought about a slight withdrawal of the Golan front, giving up Grenade ground, has proved successful. There's been peace on that front. And the withdrawal was a minor withdrawal comparatively. See, and in fact gave us a very advantageous strategic border. The army does look out from that border and see what's going on in Damascus. But while in negotiations, while Kissinger was here, at a meeting of the Land of Israel movement, which, by the way, had suffered from fatalities that period, 70, 71, something like that. Alterman died, Livni died. I think already then Yachil was also late gone, some if I remember, he was head of the front of the dogs, the older dogs, they all died. So we were left at the leadership of Shamir, and the man whose name I can't remember this died. At a meeting of ours, we were thinking what could be done to to oppose the Golden Mayor's negotiations with Kissinger. And so I suggested that we hold a hunger strike. Consequently, that we hunger struck for a week. About a dozen of us, a couple of the people who struck, we suddenly discovered people we didn't know came along, strike out opposite Golda Meir's house. He runs her house was in Navia, in